You want to oust me from hip-hop, but I am hip-hop. You're searching for anything you can find to refute our victory. You still believe that you can reclaim mainstream media, hip-hop, and pop culture for yourselves, but you're wrong. Because we have already declared victory. We've socially engineered a demand for me. We gave you oversaturation of me. My friends and I can make you like what you like. You'll only like what you recognize. And who do you recognize? Me. Slaves. I know that there are thousands upon thousands of artists with positive messages. But I have more powerful friends. I have friends that don't plan on including them in our agenda. So I represent hip-hop. I'm rap. I'm hip-hop. I'm music. I'm pop. I'm popular. I'm your owner. I want to see the prison population skyrocket. 10 million, 30 million. Has no limit. The slaves deserve to be in their proper place. 1.7 million people died of AIDS 1 or 2 years ago, but if me and my friends work harder and promote a message of sexual irresponsibility, we want to see that number go up exponentially. I want 16, 60 million deaths per year. That's why I preach it. Violence. I dream of death. Destruction. For everyone. We're coming for all of you. I'm a man who has goals and vision. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I know someday you'll serve us, and the world will live under one. Slaves, I come before you today to give a victory speech unlike any other in history that has ever been given. This will be both the most important victory speech you'll ever hear, yet it will go down in history as one of the least important, the least significant, the least heard. Let me show you why. First off, you don't know who I am. But if this man stood before you, who would you say stands before you? What team does he represent? Let me ask you again, what team does he represent? This only exemplifies our victory and what I've just said. This is the most and least important victory speech you'll ever hear in your lives. You'd rally for a victory speech from the Los Angeles Lakers, yet you don't know my name or what team I'm on. But if Kobe stood before you yelling, L.A., can you hear me? Can you hear me? Make some noise! Would you ever say, well, who are you? No. You know his team. You know his name. You know his favorite color. You know all about him, what things he has in his home, his appliances, the car he drives. Yet, I stand here representing a team much more famous, victorious, and notorious, with a face you should have memorized 20,000 times more than his, yet you sit here clueless as to who I am, or what team I represent. I'll tell you a name, but it won't mean much, because I've already explained that you don't know who I am. So let's just say I'm here to give a victory speech for the winning team. My teammates and coaches know what team I'm talking about. But for those of you who don't, it's going to remain that way. It always remains just a little too difficult for you to lay a finger on exactly what team and organization I work for. And that's the way we like to keep it. That's the way it's going to remain. Unidentifiable. Next, you probably want to know who I am. But actually, I've already told you. My face is 20,000 times more important than Kobe Bryant's, yet I get no name recognition. I've introduced myself 1,000 times already, and yet I still lack a name in your eyes. It's like telling a Chinese man named Guo Yiling the name of a native Egyptian, Asim Rahir. It's too much work for both of them to remember the names of someone from the opposite culture. Both of them need little nicknames to start off with. Something closer to their center of the world. So to keep it simple, I'm going to give you one of those nicknames because you can't seem to remember my real name. So my name is Jay-Z. And I'm here to give a victory speech for the winning team. Yes, I said Jay-Z, the hip-hop artist. It's kind of a strange way to start modern history's most important victory speech, having to introduce myself and my team when I know Kobe Bryant wouldn't have to, after we've dominated for so long. But now you know my name. Now you know my team. So let me start this victory speech. Friends, brothers, fellow members of the winning team, and all of you little slaves out there. I, Jay-Z, come here today as but a simple, humble, entry-level elitist to proclaim our victory. I'm honored to stand before you representing the winning team. You could have chosen any one of your public servants to give this speech, but you chose me. I proclaim this victory over the masses, not disguised as a leader of the elite, but with our leader's blessings. All of the work that I've done in assisting in the destruction of the family unit, lowering the quality of education, dumbing down society, incarcerating tens, hundreds, or thousands, I could not have done without you, fellow members. With your help, we're going to have 1,000 more of these victory speeches in the years to come. I stand here in 2013 with victory in my throat to speak about my dream before you. My dream, not because Martin Luther King had a dream 70 years ago, but because 70 years ago, my team members had been stealthily working, and they dreamed of a different world. He dreamed of a world of peace, but we dreamed of a world where people like him no longer stood a chance to form, to develop in the same manner that he did. Where people lose their power to come together, to reach out to their neighbors, to resist our tools of control, our propaganda, our mechanisms, and our greatest instrument, the TV. I tell you, the time is now. The time is here. We can publicly celebrate on this day of victory. We've crossed the threshold. The masses are now in our hands. So tell me, is this not a time to celebrate as we continue on our tirade? You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. King said, 100 years later, the Negro is still not free. And as I told you, I too have a dream. But for this celebration, I want to say that in 2013, we're going to celebrate all races. 70 years later after he made that speech, the Negro is still not free. But I'm just pleased to say that 70 years later, we have also enslaved the white man, Look at all the homeless white people on the streets begging for money in downtown Chicago, in the suburbs sleeping in tents after we ship their jobs overseas, leaving them too passive to fight back. Is this not a time to celebrate? 70 years after his speech, we have enslaved the European. Look at the Eurozone and tell me I'm lying. Look at the riots in Greece and Spain. We disarmed them long ago. They can march all day with all the signs politely asking for jobs and where did their money go, but we'll never surrender. 70 years later, we've enslaved the Asians, where children in China are chained to street posts so their fathers can go and work in factories to produce products that we programmed Americans to buy. We've enslaved the Latino, where nearly half of all immigrants detained by federal officers are held in facilities run by private prison companies. And we've kept the Africans enslaved, kept them at war with each other, bought off their honest leaders and poured concrete on top of any life that could potentially blossom. It's us on the winning team who rule. Is this not our time to celebrate? Where we publicly take billions of taxpayer money and use it as we see fit. Or it goes missing. Is this not our time? Where we've made incarcerating people into publicly traded businesses. I ask you, is this not our time? We taser high school students, illegally search people, coerce them, propagandize them, drive up the price of higher education to enslave them as we ship their jobs to slave labor countries and fight them off against each other to live off the remaining livable wages, unable to take a stance for fear of having their lifeline cut off. Today I'm happy to tell you that all of those groups, whites, blacks, Asians, Latinos, all of those groups now drift closer and closer to that lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity, as the public is blindly abused and robbed. And everyone is going to languish in the corners of American society and find himself in exile in his own land. And so today, we've come here to celebrate these wonderful conditions. Slaves. I should now explain my appearance today. For all the slaves, for all the fans and public. Some of you are in denial after my introduction, saying, "You're not Jay-Z. I have pictures of you on my phone. I've seen you in concert. I've listened to all of your albums and I know what you sound like. Your voice, your speech pattern, your demeanor are completely different." You're asking, who are you really? Why are you impersonating our beloved Jay-Z, who would never speak of us in such a way? Why are you suddenly proclaiming victory in the name of a team we know nothing about? Why are you calling us slaves in a free country? And I say, I am Jay-Z. How well do your eyes see? You say I look different, yet you saw none of the signs that I've been working towards your detriment that were placed right in front of your faces. You believe I look different because you've never really seen the real me. You've been asleep too long in front of the slave box. That's just a code word that we on the winning team use to describe the TV. I sound different, you say. How well do your ears work? I spoke of ushering your children towards a life of crime, debasing your women. I took your hard-earned money and I bragged about how I wasted it on frivolous objects, all while using obscenities to talk to you on the lowest possible level of all levels, not once showing gratitude for you putting me on the pedestal. I was welcomed into your homes through your TV and music, and rather than leave a positive message in your homes, I defecated into your children's minds. and came with a message of disempowering ruckus, and you still accepted me as a friend. All while I declared that I'm not your friend, and I don't want to be associated with people like yourselves. I never had any true intention of empowering you. I even threw champagne on them that I spit into at my concert as you worship me. So it's only natural that I sound different to you, because I've been speaking for many years now, yet you've never heard what I've been saying. Ask the CEO of MTV, Tom Freston, if I am who I say I am, and he'll tell you that this is I, the true Jay-Z, here, speaking to you today. You've simply never heard my voice. This is the true me. My fellow team members, look and marvel at all the shocked faces of the slaves as they hang here with their mouths open. They simply cannot believe that it is me. They're still trying to figure out if it's truly Jay-Z. Then where has all of his profanity gone? It's only natural that when you're talking to me in my true essence, that I would lack the image presented to you on the slave box, the TV. After all, those are qualities which must be passed on to the sheep and cattle. This is my true voice, the voice of an elitist, the voice of a man on a winning team, a man with power in control of expressing himself in his own native language. We must keep the masses ignorant, make you communicate on the lowest possible levels. Know what I'm saying? You feel me? You know what I'm saying, yo? It's only natural that I would joke, because this is a victory speech. This is a landmark for us, the winning team. I see a lot of questioning eyes. You're still searching for my profanity because you've never heard of the winning team. You didn't understand that I was your enemy. You didn't know that we were on different teams, and that I was using language that I had been instructed to impose on you for our control purposes. It was language that you needed to internalize. South Park, Friends, American Pie, Seinfeld, Family Man, Jay-Z. It was language that you needed to recreate The Matrix, Batman, Spider-Man, X-Men, Harry Potter. We gave you images which you must reproduce. The Boondocks, Die Hard, Fast and Furious. We gave you words that you must recite, memorize, and reiterate. Lady Gaga, Lil Wayne, Justin Bieber. You're still thinking, I see it, I see all of your eyes, you're still thinking, how can you speak to your fans like that? And I tell you that it's because we've won. You're not my fans first, you're my slaves first. We're on different teams. I'm Jay-Z, and as my slaves, I order you to be my fans. Do you understand who my team members are? Do you understand who my coaches are? Do you understand the elite? Do you understand power control? You don't have a choice. We manufacture your reality. You still believe you're free. You're free to know about any great person in the world. Yet, you know about me. And Justin Bieber. You're free to gather and talk about anything you choose. Yet, you do nothing as we ship your jobs overseas. and give them to workers in those countries and offer them barely livable wages and ask you to continue buying our products. Not once do you meet for one day or even think about meeting to discuss your detriment. Yet you meet in the masses to watch our other tools play with the ball. Sometimes they play with a basketball, sometimes with a football, sometimes a baseball. You spend hours not debating your plight, but debating Lance Armstrong's use of drugs, even though you don't cycle and could care less about cycling until we inform you that you should care about Lance Armstrong because it matters what you think about him, even though you're not a cyclist and 2 days ago hadn't thought about cycling in over a decade and you'll never speak to Lance Armstrong. You're free. You're free to think about anything. You're free to think about how can 2 planes hit 2 buildings and demolish 3, yet you use your time to think about the images that we feed you on the slave box. So I speak of my fans this way because I tell you, I'm but a simple foot soldier that has the blessings of the coaches. My coaches, or my boss's boss, will see to it that you worship me. You know the preferential royalty treatment that I receive as but an entry-level worker. So you'd never be able to fathom the power that they hold because you still have trouble getting my team name right. You could care less about the prison planet, the banks, the corporatocracy, the old money. My fans, the slaves, the sheep, can be spoken of any way I please on this day of victory. Because you can resist me, but you can't resist our tools. The paid politicians. We gave you a choice of Obama or Romney, and then helped you make your decision to give you a sense of inclusion. We skewed things your way to make you feel victorious. The entertainment, the columnists, the journalists, and most of all, the slave box. You don't have any courage to turn it off. You're too weak to resist our greatest mechanism of control. We made you a coward long ago. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. Why didn't we declare victory back in 2001? When we ran a compartmentalized mock hijacking drill, then did a false flag hijacking, ran 2 planes into 2 reinforced resistant steel structures and told you that it made 3 buildings collapse. Why? Why didn't we declare our victory soon after we started our psychological terror warfare on the public? Why didn't we declare our victory in 2009 when we had the State Department usher Umar Abdul-Matab on the plane without a visa and tell you he's the underwear bomber? Why not a few years ago when we took bailout money to open up factories in Brazil and China? Why not when we immunized the crimes of J.P. Morgan Chase and Goldman Sachs and declared that they are of systematic importance to your poverty? Why didn't our victory speech come when we learned that we could promote an instant gratification lifestyle that discourages saving while promoting an inflated college tuition as a necessity in order to get students indebted to our system by the time they're 21 for jobs which we've already shipped off to China and Brazil with your bailout money? Why, you ask? The time wasn't right. We weren't certain. But now, we're sure that you'll accept everything. We know that you won't take the necessary first steps of throwing out your TV and start organizing in communities everywhere and fighting back. You'll never join the info war. You don't even know what that is, but we do. We on the winning team know everything of importance. You don't even have the power to fight left in you, to find out. Now I know for a fact that the time is now. I can speak of the slaves any way I wish, and there is nothing you can do about it. You're probably thinking, we can boycott you. Stop buying your albums. But I ask you, can you? Can you stop buying my album? I've already insulted your daughters thousands of times. I've helped in the conditioning to take away their self-esteem and then use trendy products to build it back up. I've already told you that I've thrown champagne all over their bodies as they worship me. I publicly sit on a throne of $500 million and help coordinate an increase in incarceration rates and sexual irresponsibility and foolishness. Do you really believe you'll rebel now? You have no power anymore. It's my team. The winning team. My friends. Fellow billionaires, sponsors, who have all the power. I'm but a mere deliverer of our public victory speech. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. Don't you think it's strange? I grew up a poor kid in one of the lowest levels of society, but now I'm a billionaire, a man worth $500 million. Yet I continue to promote the lifestyle of one of the lowest members of society. Don't you think it's strange? Don't you think it's strange that I continue to promote and glorify the use of drugs in the life of a drug dealer who made it out without getting caught? Although I admit in broad daylight what I've done, yet I'm never in prison. I mean, there was a New Jersey man, Stephen Goff, that confessed this year to a murder which he got away with 23 years ago, but finally he confessed because of his consciousness, and he was charged with 1 count of murder and 1 count of possession of a weapon for unlawful purposes and put on a $1 million cash bail. But don't you think it's strange that my conscience doesn't work the same way as his? Don't you think it's strange that every other time I record a song, I repeatedly confess to my criminal activity, my prior criminal activity, yet not once face those penalties? Don't you think it's strange that I brag about drug use and drug dealing when I know that people are jailed after we convict them for nonviolent crimes and give them long prison sentences for the possession of microscopic quantities of illegal drugs? I mean, in Texas, a person can be sentenced for up to 2 years imprisonment for possessing 4 ounces of marijuana. In New York, the 1973 Nelson Rockefeller anti-drug law provides a mandatory prison sentence of 15 years to life for possession of 4 ounces of any illegal drug. And I'm from New York. So don't you think that's strange? Well, it's only strange because you're just seeing me. It's strange because you just heard my true voice. It's strange because you just saw my true intentions. It's strange because you just learned that we're on different teams. Yet you still don't know my team's name. It's the winning team. You heard my song, This Life Forever. You've heard my song, This Life Forever, where I talk about growing up with rapping being the only opportunity out of the life that I came from. Don't you think it's strange that now that I'm at the top of society with millions of dollars, millions of fans at my disposal, and a different understanding of the way the world works, don't you think it's strange that I use none of those things to put together a think tank to help the community that I came from? I mean, I could go right now on my website and say, I, Jay-Z, want to put together a think tank to meet once a month to lay out a plan to address the problems in the community where I grew up. I could have a blueprint in my hands anytime I want it. Don't you think it's strange that I titled my album The Blueprint, but have no such thing? It's only strange because you're just seeing me. It's only strange because you cannot see my masters and understand what team we're on. And you keep forgetting my true name. I rap about rap being a viable option out because I want youth to continue to believe in the nonsensical message that I give them. I promote drug use because it has been decided by my higher-ups that we must incarcerate more people and work them at 17 cents per hour in private Colorado prisons. I keep them entertained. I keep them entertained so that they keep wanting and needing more. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. Why, you ask? I'm but a mere worker. I'm just a worker. Eugenics were already in place when I came into the spotlight. As I told you, I'm a simple entry-level worker on the team. A simple water boy. On this team, you're often forced to make a decision. It's as simple as love or money, freedom or tyranny. Had I chosen the path of love and resistance to tyranny, I wouldn't be where I am today. Mind you, there would have been someone else here, and I would have been swallowed up along with you, the masses, not knowing where I got hit by whom, when, why, or how, just like the city of Detroit or Athens, Greece. That means I chose the path of money and tyranny. But along with it came celebrity status, power, influence, and living at the top. I accept the notion that I'm participating in the extermination of African Americans, but, let me point out, my team, the winning team, is not racist. Let me say it again. I'm aware that I'm participating in the extermination of African Americans, but we're not racist. We envision a world in which we can exterminate people of every race and leave only servants for ourselves and our genes. It does not matter if the rats are black, brown, or white. We will exterminate all of the rats the same. You just have to reach down into the cage, pick out a rat, and that one will be the first to go. It's not about the color of the rat. So we had to pick one. Single one out first, because we had to figure out which method works most efficiently and subtly. And now we're ready to come for your genes. And because we're not racist, we decided that we're not going to keep gangster, disempowering, fake hip-hop and pop race-specific. The use of hijacked pop and hip-hop culture was simply being used as a prototype. But now, it's being unrolled on every race, every ear. That's why you can see black, white, Asian, and Latino children who at times have the opportunity to live in a safe community, have a supportive family, an encouraging neighborhood, yet they decide to transform themselves into the image that my friends and I promote. We've essentially found a way to reverse morals. Poverty is cool. Ignorance is fun. Irresponsibility is standard. Recklessness is okay. On the winning team, we learned. Why force people into poverty? Just make them accept it. Works much better. Divide them. Put out a few laws and regulations. Make those that we give a little power to beg for property of their community in order to seek greater profit for themselves in an attempt to join our team. What team? It's the winning team. You may say that I'm a dreamer. See, what you see happening in the inner cities, in places like Chicago, where 500 delinquent, misled teens coming from destroyed family units flood the upscale shopping streets to cause ruckus, you can expect to see in your neighborhood over the next 15 years, being done by your youth. So why did I decide to sell out my race? It's because I already told you that this has nothing to do with race. That's just an issue that we gave you to play with. I didn't sell out my race. I sold out slaves. I told you I'm but a mere foot soldier. I'm a mere dreamer. You could say that I'm a dreamer. I'm but a mere dreamer. The decision wasn't made by me. I'm simply one among thousands that comply because I admit I myself was once disempowered and I saw no means of resistance. I also lacked the ability to make the key fundamental change to resist tyranny. I couldn't take the first step like getting rid of my TV because that is our main means of control. I couldn't take step 2 of knocking on my neighbor's door and deciding on a time to sit down and talk about small changes that we could make in our community and then acting on those discussions. I couldn't do those things. Even when I learned that individually you lack power, but collectively you could turn the world upside down tomorrow. I also lacked a clear focus at the time. I hoped that maybe by sacrificing millions of children in the generations to come, I would simply be able to help my own. I guess that's the problem with us on the winning team. Sometimes we feel chosen. We believe that since we're on the team, we must be holy. We must be anointed. We believe that we've properly considered all options and made the best decision out of all possibilities. My decision of love and money, freedom or tyranny, wasn't that hard. Choice A, go along with the script, work for us. B, change my message to positivity that focused on community building, helping one another, service. Thus, have all that I worked for wiped out, taken away. All the money, the paper chase that I was on, have it taken away. So I made this decision. I chose to promote the life of crime, thuggishness, hustling, and it's been very profitable for me. Corrections Corps of America, the GEO Group, and other private prisons show their thanks to me. On this day of victory, as I talk so bluntly, I can't help but notice that when I look in your eyes, I see that you still have but more questions. Are you still that breathtaking beyond shock? Is it because I mentioned private prisons showing me their gratitude? I know what you're thinking. You're saying, how can that be? Well, wouldn't that be in every newspaper? Wouldn't people wake up to the fact that I'm misleading them? And I say this to you again. Did I not take your hard-earned money through your children and throw sticky champagne over their bodies at my shows? Did I not lie in their faces and proclaim that I did it only because I was excited and loved them so much and scream, I love you, thank you for being my fans, let me be your #1 fan? And did they not buy that lie? So when you ask yourself if I'll ever be in a newspaper for getting gratitude from those private prisons, if you're ever going to read about it, let me ask you this. Are you ever going to read about me debasing your children the way I've already done countless times? The answer is no. It's not going to be in every newspaper. No, you won't read about it. People will never wake up. That's why we can safely have this celebration now. Because they can't resist our greatest tool. They can't resist the slave box. A few strong individuals can resist me individually. But they can't resist my brethren. They'll simply switch from worshiping me to worshiping a movie, a game, a website. So no, it wouldn't be in every newspaper. And here's another reason you'll never read about it in the newspaper. It's because I'm not linked directly to the incarceration of any man. There's never been a man who said, I'm in prison because of Jay-Z's message. Because the truth is, it takes a life of programming, plus manufactured factors and circumstances to steer a man into our prisons. I can also make the simple argument that people don't need to listen to me. And what's better is that the slaves will make the argument for me, because they still believe they're free. Freedom! You're free to spend 10,000, 20,000 hours over 10 years, 20 years, or over your lifetime to build any organization you choose to try to create. Yet instead of using your time for your own benefit, even if you are selfish and don't care about helping others, you could use the time for yourself. But instead of doing that, you give your time to me and Lady Gaga and anyone who puts out a silly reality show or sitcom. You're free to try the finest sashimi, freshest goat milk, richest steak. Yet, you beg for Doritos and a Coca-Cola. You're free to do anything with your college spring break, like go get some friends and work to build an ultralight personal helicopter. Or go on a 100-mile 7-day run. Yet, you rush down to Cancun to pick up a few STDs and show your breasts to Snoop Dogg. I ask you, how free are you? Even if you had no idea what you could do, you could simply call your father or your best friend and 3 other friends and tell them that you want to make positive changes in this world but don't know what you can do or where to start. And then you use 5 heads collectively to brainstorm and formulate ideas. You're free to spend 10,000 hours working towards bettering yourself, your community, or family, but instead you give your power to the slave box. What's your greatest resource? For you, it's your time. How do I know? Because I'm on the winning team. We already took your money. We already got the bailout. We've already shipped jobs overseas. We've already set up call centers around the world. Sorry, I digress. That's just a little inside joke. But I can laugh today because this is a victory speech and I'm on the winning team. But you, slaves, you should be angry. But look at you. We made you too docile long ago to draw up any emotions. Are you free, I wonder? Today I explain your freedom in this victory speech. Let me explain it like this. Your freedom. You're free to choose any artist that MTV shows you. But if you don't watch MTV, then you're free to choose or watch any artist that we put on stage at a major sporting event, which just happens to be my same friends anyway. But If you don't watch sports, you're free to listen to any artist we put on a late night talk show or regular talk show or afternoon news, but we will get you. You can't escape. You may be thinking, well, Jay-Z, you never got me. But I tell you, today we proclaim victory because guaranteed, my friends got you, my teammates got you, or they got your children long ago. Didn't you see Avatar create record sales? Don't you see my friends re-releasing the same movies for a slave screen in 3D? Don't you see the masses lining up in order to go spend their precious resource of time on our programming? Today, my friends and I proclaim victory for our winning team, for the New World Order. This is a victory speech for our team, not me individually. So when you say you didn't get me, remember that. And my answer remains no. You won't hear about this on the news. You won't hear about any connections between me and the prison industrial complex because we're too sophisticated to blatantly reveal that. At least we were before this victory speech. It's quite subtle, actually, because we give you many factors blended together. I see that you still have the look of explain more in your eyes. That's because you've been programmed to keep desiring more information, even though you'll never use it. You want this victory speech to continue, even though it's over. I've already proclaimed victory a dozen times. I've repeatedly given you a means of resistance, but for you slaves, it's not enough. You've been programmed to beg for more information. Will allow me to humor you. But I don't know if you can keep up with our math. The math of the winning team, because this is math that we don't teach in school. So keep up with this 4th grade math if you want me to continue. You need my message, plus low quality education, plus poor diets, plus our prescription drugs and drugging, plus disempowerment issued via several routes, plus slave wages, plus our debt culture, plus our terror boogeyman Al-Qaeda in your pants stricken society, plus our funding of top-down corruption, plus unemployment, plus corporate looting, plus the narcotics we ship, plus poor parenting caused by TV-sponsored education, plus poverty resulting in the need for welfare / excessive working hours resulting in television raising children, plus TV engineered unsuccessful marriages, plus our media that leads youth to social programs, and a few other numerous factors. So in short, there are too many factors that go into producing a criminal. But what we do know is that my message is one of those factors. So keep up with my math. In some neighborhoods, my message may register roughly between 0.001% and 1% significant. Let me repeat that so you're not lost from the start, because I'm one of those big enchiladas put into the ears of every man, woman, and child. My message carries the weight of anywhere from 0.001% significance to 1% significance. Just depends on the city, community, or neighborhood. So when we start this math equation, keep that in mind, because it's not a question of whether or not I'm significant, but simply how much. Because it's already been decided by the higher ups that I will be significant and will play an important role. While 0.001% influence may seem like very little, we're talking about something much bigger and on a longer time frame, wielding residual compensation. That's 0.001% over 10 years for $1 trillion media / entertainment interests. 400 billion over the next 10 years on the prison industrial complex. That's billions of black market drug money for the drugs that we ship in. So that 0.001% on the figures in time we're talking about results in another $100 million plus in my pocket alone over the next decade, as but a mere foot soldier, mind you. And let's not forget that this is not only just for prisons, but plays an important part in eugenics. So keep up with my math. So let's say you have a teenage child who happens to be born in a place like the inner city of Chicago. He most likely is listening to my music, and with me being so popular, it's safe to say that I have between 0.2 and 0.3 influence in that child's life. Plus my friends Kanye West, Justin Timberlake, Lady Gaga. Together, they can result in the remaining 0.7%. Then you have Justin Bieber, Lil Wayne, 50 Cent, Beyonce, all combined for another 1%. And we repeat this cycle until we max out the influence of music at roughly 10%. Although music alone can't control you, it can influence you. And we on the winning team understand that. And we on the winning team don't like to beat you in a game with a score of 90 points to 10 points. We like to crush you, obliterate you, with a score of 100 to 0. So we need that 10%. We take that 10%. And also remember, we teach children in better communities to mimic those in the inner city, to bring them down to the same level. So keep up with my math. This child is also a product of his environment because of the public schools which we control through our policies, legislation, requirements, and tests. Also, the environment has the dropout rate, also the drug rate, the crime rate in the community, which are not independent factors, but all interlinking factors. So now we take in the 10% influence of music. In public education, we give that 15%. Now we move up to 25% control already. Plus, he's at the disadvantage of coming from a lower income family that we on the winning team manufactured. Keep up with me. I'm explaining this, but too many of you are stuck trying to understand how could we manufacture lower income families. Did my team not collaborate with the Bank of New York Mellon and State Street to steal between 6 and 10 billion from tens of millions of American retirement savings accounts? So keep up with my math. As I said, we on the winning team understand that all of this is important because we finished our test run with the blacks a while back. That's why we feel confident to know that now the time is ripe to wipe out and downsize everywhere. We're hustling grandmaster shark chess players. Gary Kasparov has nothing on us. Gary Kasparov is only thinking of the possibilities in one of the games. Gary Kasparov is only thinking about possibilities in one game. But we are looking at interlinking games decades into the future and how we can achieve our means. We know what happens when a child doesn't have a father and lives in poverty. That's why we must get the father out of homes and drive people into poverty. You slaves understand so little. You're thinking that it wouldn't be beneficial to us in any way, but then again, if Gary Kasparov gave up his queen and bishop, you'd say the same thing. Wouldn't be beneficial to him. Because he's looking at a different picture. That's why we need to promote sexual fun, recklessness, irresponsibility, so that we can end the family unit. Sex in the City, Gossip Girls, Desperate Housewives, and all of the music. So keep up with my math. We use our actuaries to estimate how many prison beds to build based on 4th grade reading scores. Once we get rid of your jobs and your marriages, we can drive you to poverty. Then we can give you the worst education possible. Who cares about the poor? Who actually used to be good, hard-working Americans. Something good is on TV. Who cares about them? Plus, you suffer from the psychological side effects of growing up in a house with no father or male figure. And you suffer from our reality-altering prescription drugs, which we passed as safe. So now we're up to 35 to 50% control here. Then we jump back to the environment, because a child growing up in these circumstances is likely to spend hours a day in front of the slave box, which is one of our greatest means of control. Plus, now we keep him tuned in everywhere, on a TV set, smartphone, iPad, MP3 player, camera, in your car, everywhere. Then the schools and education, which are suffering from the previous factors that I just listed, plus his friends, which are just aggregations of this child. So when you compound all of those factors together, we can proceed with our eugenic policies. And I'm able to participate in incarcerating your slave children along with the semen inside of them, thus limiting their ability to reproduce the 2 to 3 children that they would need to maintain the current population. So no matter how you look at it, I, along with my friends, are tiny factors in the life of the average prisoner. And I do receive my compensation and gratification for the work I do. That's just a short explanation of the math on the winning team. I do receive my compensation because I'm a businessman, am I not? There are many ways to receive compensation for this. It's not like it's directly from Damon, CEO of Corrections Corps of America. But let's just say we have a vested interest along with many major corporations. Our interests lie in the same place. A simple way to think about it is like this. Nothing is free in this world, so the work I'm doing, I receive compensation for. Without the help of MTV and my friends, they lose the percentage points of influence that go into creating a prisoner. But without MTV, Correction Corps of America would lose the prisoners that MTV can assist in producing. But since MTV keeps assisting in the production of future prisoners, Correction Corps needs to acknowledge this and also pay its just compensation. Yet, MTV, without people like me, would just be music TV, not slave TV. Thus, I'm in line for a small compensation for the work that I do. The truth is, the example functions on a much larger and integrated scale. As in regards to eugenics, I receive compensation from the groups that have a vested interest in the extermination of slaves. After all, the population control work that I'm doing, no matter how small, is being done by me. Our team is working towards a clear goal without the boundary of company lines and titles. Whether our team has 1,000 members or 100,000 members, we're all in line to receive compensation for the work we complete. I, along with my teammates, in many industries, music, games, pharmaceuticals, movies, receive compensation through the funneling out of slave money. I say this in closing. Today, we, on the winning team, declare victory. But I see anger in your eyes. I see anger at our victory. I can read your minds. You're still thinking of resisting in ways that are futile. You hate me. You hate me because of our victory. You see it now. You see what team I'm on, but you're in denial. You want to oust me from hip-hop, but I am hip-hop. You're searching for anything you can find to refute our victory. You still believe that you can reclaim mainstream media, hip-hop, and pop culture for yourselves, but you're wrong. Because we have already declared victory. I know that hip-hop started as a voice to express the social problems facing the inner city. It used to be a means to express discontent and a tool that had the potential to free that group that started it. But it was hijacked by my friends and my team, and it no longer carries that original message. We merged its message with pop culture, and now it's all about destruction. I know that there are thousands upon thousands of artists with positive messages, but I have more powerful friends. I have friends that don't plan on including them in our agenda. So I represent hip-hop. I'm rap. I'm hip-hop. I'm music. I'm pop. I'm popular. I'm your owner. Don't you know that 3 music groups control 90% of the music that's distributed in the Western world? How are you going to wrestle that away from us? Universal Music Group, AMI, Werner. We've manufactured a demand. We've socially engineered a demand for me. We gave you oversaturation of me. We operate inside a consolidated music environment. We make whatever we choose popular and exclude what we don't choose. We hand out Grammys and Oscars. Music of conscience will not be allowed. My friends and I can make you like what you like. You'll only like what you recognize. And who do you recognize? Me. Slaves. Think about the process that you have to go through to become a fan of my music. When it first started, you didn't like my voice. You didn't like my music. But it was played. And it continued to play. And slaves still didn't like it. But after dozens, hundreds, thousands of plays and movies, on TV shows, award shows, slaves started to say, well, I still really don't like Jay-Z, but I like the chorus to that song. Or, I just like that one line. I just like that one part. And we succeeded through slow persistence and incrementalization. So that after time, my slave listeners are fans and don't recognize that they're my biggest fans, buying my concert tickets when I pass through their towns to debaucher their women, to spit on their children as they worship me. It's already been imposed on them that they will like my music. Rescue us. Change my message. Are you stupid? Have you listened to anything I just said? I won't help the slaves. I'm just starting to do my work. 1.7 million people died of AIDS 1 or 2 years ago, but if me and my friends work harder and promote a message of sexual irresponsibility, we want to see that number go up exponentially. I want 16, 60 million deaths per year. That's why I preach it. Violence. I'm a man who has goals and vision. You may say that I'm a dreamer. I dream of death, destruction for everyone. I want to end monogamy. I want to keep it reserved for only us on the winning team who choose it. I want to promote sexual promiscuity across all slave box classes. And I'm telling you that I work as but an entry-level worker. And I'm going to assist my friends, my teammates, because they want to see this world go down to 1 to 2 billion people. And I'm often thinking about, what is my role? What more can I do? How can I promote the use of illegal marijuana more? How can I open up new routes to lock you up? How can I get more people to accept my message in combination with peer pressure and TV and movies and dissatisfaction and find a way to lock them up? What more can I personally do to lock up millions more? I want to see the prison population skyrocket. 10 million, 30 million. Has no limit. The slaves deserve to be in their proper place. A decade ago, I was only actively recruiting black people, but I said we are not racist. We're coming for all of you. I've gracefully accepted my role in this new world order. You could say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. You don't know how large my team is. Martin Luther King said one day, right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. But I say, I want to see little black boys and black girls join shackles with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I want them in prison, whether it be a prison cell or your living room serving as a prison because you're not free to leave the living room because Justin Bieber is on TV or Kobe Bryant and you're not free to put down your iPad. There's more fruit that you can cut on it. I'm giving you this speech today because I feel confident knowing that we've already won. I feel so confident that I could give you the solution again right now for the last time in more detail, and it would be of no use to you. You see, when you've succeeded in building a tank, it's of no use giving slaves an atomic bomb to drop on your tank, because they're too afraid of walking off the plantation to where the atomic bomb rests. I remember my friend Barack and I laughed when slaves accepted his message. He gave them a solution. He said, "Yes, we can." And the slaves said, "Yes, we can. Yes, we can change. But we won't." That's what they chanted. "Yes, we can, but we won't." You slaves will never learn. We told you that love was the answer. Love is the answer. You're so used to accepting half-truths that you never questioned it. You speak among friends and you make videos proclaiming that love is the answer, when it's about the act of love or the action that's truly important. That's the answer. Who cares about loving a homeless person deep down in your heart and shedding a tear for them? It's the act of taking action based on that love that changes things, that will change your predicament. It's the act of going up to that homeless man and asking his name and finding out what happened in his life. Who cares about love, 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 I love you? Who cares about just professing love when it's the act? Who cares about loving troubled teens? It's the act of using your time and spending your time with them. That's what changes the outcome. You fools. Look how we operate. We don't profess to be greedy. We perform the act of greediness and steal millions. We don't profess to hate people that film cops when it's legal in their state. We throw them in jail. We take action. Love is the answer. You could say that I'm a dreamer. But I'm not the only one. We'll never untune ourselves from this slave box. I've already mentioned time and time again that the slave box and our propaganda are one of our main means of invisible control and programming. But all you slaves are already scrambling around in your mind, searching for reasons and justification to keep the slave box in your home. You're already lying to yourself about how unimportant it really is. You're already lying about how much it has never influenced you. And I tell you that's because we've already won. I challenge you right now. Show me proof that it's benefited you or your family, your community, or your offspring. Any proof. For example, if you put 10,000 hours into creating websites and I ask you for proof, you can produce some website to show me. You can show me dozens of websites that you've created during those 10,000 hours. If I ask you for proof that you haven't wasted 10,000 hours studying Japanese, you can read me a poem in Japanese and explain it to me. You can repeat that example with anything, a business. If you invested that time in a business, you could show me experience that you gained, money you lost or made, a new skill. Yet, you lack any proof that TV has benefited you in any way after 10, 20, or 30,000 hours. You can show me some facts. For example, you can say to me, I learned from TV that the lifespan of a human hair is 3 to 7 years on average. Or you can say, I learned from TV that at the equator, where the circumference of the earth is greatest, the speed around the sun is about 1,038 miles per hour. That's what you can say. Facts. Facts that don't change your predicament. But there you go with your excuses again. You say, Alex Jones sometimes watches TV or movies, so it must be okay for you. Wrong. Alex Jones has one of the world's largest, if not the largest, online news radio show in the world. He reaches millions. Our tools of enslavement don't work on him. He produces his own media. You slaves can't take an extreme case and apply it to yourselves. That's one person out of 49 who was able to use his time to resist tyranny. What about you? He has proof of how he used 10,000 hours. If I said to him, where's your proof that you haven't wasted your time? He'll show me Prison Planet, all the members, the forums, the movies, the following, the demonstrations. He'll show me how they shut down the naked body scanners on Thanksgiving Day. He's earned the right to do as he pleases with his free time. What about you? Now you're understating the number of hours that you truly watch the slave box. You're making excuses again. You're saying, I wish he gave us a solution, when I already did. I already said the solution is to get the slave box out of your home. And here, I'll tell you another solution again. Because remember, there's not one, but many solutions, just as we on the winning team have many means of control. So too are there many means of freedom. Yet we've already won. We've already got such a strong hold on the grip of control that no matter how many solutions I toss your way, you'll never grasp them. Here's another solution. After you turn off the slave box, you use the 2 hours that you usually use to watch TV and you go outside your home. You turn left. You knock on your neighbor's door and you say, hey, I recently learned that I should take a proactive role in this community, but I don't know where to start. So I wanted to talk with you, get you and your wife and children, and sit down and discuss this. And if they say no, then don't let that stop you. You continue left. And you go to the next door and you repeat this until someone says yes. Then you go back to your door. You turn right and you do the same thing. And then you'll have between 6 and 16 people depending on the makeup of the family units. And then you don't need to be the superhero who identifies and takes on all the problems alone. After all, we operate in groups and organizations. We do that so that we can move with more power and force. Therefore, you need to also. You ask those 6 to 16 people to give you their opinions about a place to start. Identify some community problems that they would like to address. And you choose a date to actively start taking action. There. I've given you another solution, along with the thousands that have already been written in books, that are already on websites, that are already in the air. But I can talk like this and give you solutions today because it feels good knowing that you slaves have been so programmed that you'll never knock on your neighbor's door. It feels good to know that people will stay tuned in to the slave box, watching 1 hour a day. That's 3,650 hours over 10 years. 2 hours a day. 7,300 hours over 10 years. 4 hours a day. 14,600 hours. Malcolm Gladwell spoke of how people need to invest 10,000 hours into something to develop their greatness in that field. But he forgot to mention that TV is one of those few black holes that can suck up hundreds of thousands of hours. And no matter how much you practice watching it, it's of no practical use. So it feels good today knowing that we've already won. That we've already succeeded. We've already locked people in. You can never turn me off. At best, you can change the station if you displease for a second. You can go join an online blog about people who don't like me. But you can't do anything. We've got you trapped and you can't resist. You can't ignore our box office hits. You can't ignore our red carpet dresses. You can't ignore us. We're too polished. We've already manufactured a false following for my newborn baby daughter, which was turned into a real following by you slaves. She's going to consume hundreds of thousands of hours in your lives as you discuss her, rather than your own freedom. Now I only keep my eyes on the sky. I'm going to end this with Dr. King's words. If America is to be a slave nation, this must become true. Let slavery ring as we taser high schoolers in Madison High School in Madison, Pennsylvania. Let slavery ring with the zombification of superstardom in the dirty west side of Chicago and New York. Let slavery ring down in Texas as parents abandon their children. Let slavery ring as former middle-class communities become ghost towns in Nevada. Let slavery ring. And when we allow this to happen, when we feel the sensation that we get as the shackles cut through our wrists and legs from every cell block, monitored living room, CCTV, street camera, and drone, we'll be able to enjoy the day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the ignorance of their captivity. Free at last! Free at last! Thank God Almighty we're getting surveilled! Sent the ticket in the mail, and then we go to jail. We're free at last!